and welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
And in this episode, we are pitting the character Whatzit, a character from the Super Pets, against Spider-Ham,
who you probably remember from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the animated film that came out last Christmas.
Right. As is an annual tradition for this show, Jonathan and I like to get a little bit more lighthearted with the characters that we pick for our annual holiday charity fundraiser. In our first year, we pit Chip the Green Lantern Squirrel against Rocket Raccoon. In our second year, we pit Crypto the Superdog against Throg, the frog with the powers of Thor. And last year, we pit Detective Chimp against Howard the Duck.
Now, the characters that we've done for these charity duels in the past tended to be a little bit more on the obscure end.
Right.
So it was a challenge to find artwork. So we came up with the idea of commissioning artists to draw these characters for us. And then we would auction that original artwork for charity.
Except this year, we actually have a Facebook fundraiser going instead of an auction. And what we're going to do is we're going to randomly select a donor to award this original artwork to.
And it doesn't matter how much you donate. It could be $1, it could be $100. We just want to encourage you guys to donate to Pop Culture Classroom.
Right. Pop Culture Classroom is a nonprofit organization that started out promoting literacy to children by teaching them how to read through comic books. And since then, it's evolved to incorporate other innovative forms of popular culture, but it's a fantastic cause that we would love for you guys to donate to. Go ahead and visit our Facebook page by searching for Dynamic Duel DC vs. Marvel, and you can find our fundraiser post pinned to the top of our page.
Once again, we'll choose one person who donates to win the original artwork of both Spider-Ham and Whatzit, drawn by artist Nathan Santasteven.
The charity ends December 14th, 2019, so if you're listening to this episode before then, you still have time to donate. Now, this duel matchup is essentially the Flash versus Spider-Man, so it'll be interesting. I'm really looking forward to getting into it, but before we find out who would win in a fight, we're going to go over the comic book movie news over the past week, of which we had 2 trailers, both movies being female-led superhero films in Black Widow and Wonder Woman. They were both pretty damn good, both very different, so we're going to go ahead and dissect them.
As always, our segment times are in our episode description, so feel free to jump around to whatever segment you want to listen to. But wait, stop everything, we got a huge announcement.
Big news, guys.
We hit our 200 ratings mark for Apple Podcast ratings.
Right, as you guys know, we've been trying to achieve this goal of 200 ratings on Apple Podcasts for over a year now.
Yeah.
And finally, we've hit it. You guys came through for us in a big way over these past few weeks. We got like 20-something ratings. It's been huge. It's like a dream come true.
I didn't think we were going to make it.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't either.
We did it early, too.
With weeks to spare before the end of this year.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much to everyone who rated us
from the very beginning,
including E. McCoy, Geek Details, Darian Sykes 2, and Is This a Clever Nickname 2. All of you guys rated us in the past week and gave us reviews.
And now that we've hit that mark, Jonathan and I are eligible to become critics on the Rotten Tomatoes site and have our reviews of Marvel and DC's films count toward their official tomato meters.
Now, we haven't submitted our application yet, but we will be doing that soon.
And we'll keep you guys posted on the status of that and when you can hopefully see our reviews up on that site. This is the end of an era for this podcast and that you will never have to hear us beg you guys for ratings ever again. Everyone pat yourselves on the back. Everyone who not only rated us, but also shared the show with your friends and family. It's a big deal. Jonathan and I cannot overstate our gratitude towards everyone who is listening right now.
We salute you.
On to the next era.
And quick, to the No Prize. So a No Prize is an award that Marvel used to give out up until the 90s to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award that we post on social media that I personally draw for those who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week.
Last week's question was, what character from another DC show or film outside the Arrowverse, the CW DC universe, do you hope makes a surprise appearance in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover? Now, that's a big television event that's incorporating a lot of actors that have appeared in DC television shows and films over the past years. It's an event that started this past Sunday, is continuing today, but we are recording this on Sunday, so Jonathan and I still have no idea who's showing up.
Right.
But we got a lot of great answers for this, so let's go through them.
Our executive producer, John Spees, gave the answer of Keanu Reeves' Constantine.
And I guess he would be introduced to Matt Ryan's version of Constantine, and the two could see like who could outsnark the other, I guess.
Well, yeah, why not? They have multiple Supermen in this event, so why not? The more the merrier.
And multiple Flash. It would be cool to see someone as big as Keanu Reeves make a guest appearance in this and really show how much the character means to him.
And I'd like to think that Keanu Reeves is like a nice enough guy that he would do that if they just asked.
Right. Yeah.
Tim Brown gave the answer of Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke from the Justice League movie.
If anybody deserves this, it's him, really, because Joe Manganiello made like a 10-second appearance as Deathstroke at the end of the Justice League film, and it would be cool to kind of see him get his due with an extended guest appearance in this crossover event.
Now, Deathstroke has been in the Arrowverse, and he's also currently a character in the Titans show. But Joe Manganiello's costume is still the coolest Deathstroke costume that we've seen in live action. That thing was so glorious.
Yeah. Heck, get all the Deathstrokes in there.
Just put them all in.
Honorable mention goes to Miggy, Matt, and Gihan for their answer of Jaime Reyes, who is the Blue Beetle.
Now, the only live-action version of Jaime Reyes that I could think of was actually in Smallville.
Right.
But Miggy said that Jaime could be a cousin of Cisco, which would fit perfectly into that world, I think.
Oh, Cisco from The Flash?
Yeah, so this event would be introducing Jaime Reyes as Blue Beetle.
I remember the version that was in Smallville had the dopiest looking costume. It looked like a big bad Beetleborg.
That old TV show, yeah, it was pretty bad.
So maybe he'll get some upgrades for this crossover event if he's in it.
Ideally. Harrison Fox gave the answer of Billy Crudup as Dr. Manhattan. Now, I loved Billy Crudup's Dr. Manhattan.
He had such a great voice.
Yeah, it was like Hell 9000. It was so, like...
detached.
Yes. Yeah, it was really good. I would love it if he made an appearance.
And, they could just pixelate Dr. Manhattan's penis. It'll be fine.
That would not be awkward at all. Red Hood gave the answer of everybody, just everybody.
Everybody who has ever played a role in every DC anything, just show up on the show.
A little ambitious, perhaps, but really like your enthusiasm. And I agree. Everyone should be in it.
Neil Poling and Sergio Riojas both gave the answer of Lucifer from the show that was formerly on Fox and is now on Netflix.
Which I actually found pretty surprising. I haven't seen that show. I hear great things. This is one more reason why I feel like I should be watching that.
It would be cool to see Lucifer meet up with John Constantine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if also Keanu Reeves' Constantine is on there too.
And they could have had Swamp Thing. No one actually gave the answer of Swamp Thing, but that would have been cool. Honorable mention also goes to Andy Freeman and Jonathan Hazelton, who both gave the answer of Brenton Thwaites as Nightwing.
And that's the actor who plays the character on the Titans DC Universe television show.
Yeah, season 2 of that just ended, so we got to see him in his full Nightwing glory, and it was glorious. Seeing him go up against Deathstroke was just one of the best moments in DC television history for me. It was awesome.
Really? Wow. Honorable mention goes to Irani Gami. Follow him on Instagram. It's just imaginary spelled backwards. He gave the answer of Linda Carter's Wonder Woman.
Now, this almost got the award, because I would love to see Linda Carter's Wonder Woman show up here. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the secret cameos that we actually get.
Right, because Linda Carter has played a role in the Supergirl television show.
Right, yeah, she played the president.
So we know she's up for being in these television shows. It would just be nice to see her come back as the character that was so iconic in the 70s.
Lou613 gave the answer of Dean Cain from Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. And we grew up watching that show like every week when it was on. I really liked it.
It would be awesome.
And I'd be surprised if Greg Berlanti didn't reach out to Dean Cain to see if he was interested.
Honorable mention goes to Ken Johnson, who said that Gene Hackman and Ned Beatty should reprise their roles of Lex Luthor and Otis from the Christopher Reeve Superman films.
You might be able to get Ned Beatty, but I don't think you'd be able to get Gene Hackman without a ton of money. The guy's an Oscar winner.
Spend it. It'll be cool to see his Lex Luthor alongside John Cryer's version of the character. And then they both team up in their mech suits.
I would love to see Gene Hackman in a mech suit. That'd be the best. He doesn't even need to be physically there. Just film him in a chair against a green screen and then just insert him in post. That would totally work.
Honorable mention goes to Colby Henches, who wants to see a nod to Watchmen, either from the television show that's currently ongoing or Zack Snyder's film.
I would love to see Jackie Earle Haley reprise his role as Rorschach. He was so perfect in that role.
Yeah.
Calvin John Della Marced gave the answer of Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern. And of course, Nathan Fillion has done the voice work for Green Lantern in several DC animated films.
Right, and Kevin Conroy has a physical role in this crossover event as an older Batman.
So why not Nathan Fillion? We've always wanted to see him as Green Lantern in live action anyway. When I think of Hal Jordan from the comics, I picture Nathan Fillion.
Honorable mention goes to Kenneth McNeese Jr., who said that Nicolas Cage's Superman should make an appearance here.
Now, this is funny because I just read an article. It was an interview with Greg Berlanti, who said they actually did reach out to Nick Cage to play Superman in the crossover.
I'm sure they reached out to everybody, but this would be particularly special because Nicolas Cage was supposed to play Superman in the late 90s Superman Lives film. And as recently as a couple years ago, they released pics of what his Superman costume would look like. And it was just so atrocious, but it would really be so glorious to see it on the small screen as he fights alongside all these other heroes as this kind of like Elseworlds take on the Superman character.
That would have been cool. That would have been really cool.
It would have been crazy.
I almost would have preferred to see him as like Kingdom Come Superman and see Brandon Routh as more of like the Christopher Reeve Superman.
Yeah.
Honorable mention goes to Matt Estes, who said he wanted to see Superboy, the version from the Titans that's on the DC Universe right now.
Now, didn't Superboy play a big part in the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline in the comics?
No. You're probably thinking of Infinite Crisis.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing, you know.
Sure.
CJ Kraft gets honorable mention for his answer of the question. He wants the question to appear. Now, I don't believe that character has made any live-action appearances thus far.
No, but I remember they mentioned Vic Sage in Arrow.
Oh, really?
So he's been name-dropped, I think, a few times in the Arrowverse. We've just never seen him.
So it'd be cool to finally have him make an appearance.
Yeah. And our final honorable mention goes to Jeremy Orr, who said he wanted to see the Spectre, but played by Ed Harris. Now, that'd probably be a stretch considering the fact that they've already cast Jim Corrigan for the crossover, and he's making an appearance, we know for sure.
Yeah. So this is just a case of Jeremy Orr wanting to see the Spectre and then casting who he thought would be best to play him. But I like the answer nonetheless.
Yeah, Ed Harris would probably make a fantastic Spectre. But the winner of this week's No Prize goes to Jeff Miles Jr. for his answer of Mark Hamill as the Joker.
How good is that? All right, so why is this answer the best out of all those great answers?
Okay, so one reason is that Mark Hamill has already made an appearance in the Arrowverse as the Flash villain Trickster.
So we know that he's up for appearing in these shows.
Yes, and that was such a fantastic episode. He did such a great job as the Trickster. I've always wanted to see him as a live-action Joker as well. And given the fact that we're seeing Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman,
from the animated series,
be Bruce Wayne, it would be like the ultimate fanboy dream to see those two face each other as Batman and as the Joker.
That sounds like almost too good to be true, but is yet still probably more within the realm of possibility than a lot of these other answers.
Yes. Again, considering the fact he's been in one of the shows before. For a lot of people, he is the definitive Joker. So seeing him here, I think would just be perfect.
So congrats again to Jeff Miles Jr. You win this week's No Prize. If you, the listener, want to win your own No Prize, go ahead and stay tuned to later on this episode when we'll be asking another question of the week. With that out of the way,
on to the news.
So the Black Widow trailer debuted this past week. I was not expecting it. It was a huge surprise.
I know, it came out like an hour before our last episode dropped.
Right, that's so stupid. I hate when that happens. But that means we get to talk about it in this episode and compare it to Wonder Woman as well. So it was kind of fortunate in that regard. I think this Black Widow trailer dropped when it did because the Bond movie announced that it was releasing the trailer last Wednesday. And so in order to avoid any sort of negative comparisons, Disney decided to get their spy movie trailer out the gate first.
Yeah, I'm sure they wanted to probably reveal it during Kevin Feige's panel at CCXP, the Brazil Comic-Con.
Right, that was probably the original plan. And in hindsight, I don't think that they needed to be afraid of the Bond trailer. I think both of these films look great, and I don't think it would have suffered any backlash coming afterward. In fact, the best thing I can say about this Black Widow trailer is that it reminds me very much of a Bond film, which was kind of what I was hoping for.
It reminded me a lot of Jason Bourne.
Yeah, it has kind of like this Tom Clancy, Jason Bourne kind of feel to it, and that's really what I was wanting from this. It looks like a true sequel to The Winter Soldier and Civil War, that style of action superhero film.
Yeah, and it kind of helped that they showed clips from those films. It just kind of showed that this is like a good continuation of that same kind of style for the character.
Right, and I was honestly a little annoyed when I first saw this trailer at how much they were showing old footage. You know, I was like, get to the new stuff. And eventually we get to it after a few scenes from Age of Ultron and The Winter Soldier and Scarlett Johansson staring in a mirror. Good setup for this highly dramatic stuff that we're about to see, where she arrives in Budapest via train, and we get these great European locations. We know that this film is a prequel, allegedly taking place between the events of Civil War and Infinity War. Although that might not necessarily be the case because we see a shot of General Thunderbolt Ross and he's de-aged to look like even younger than he was in The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, you have to wonder how far back this film goes.
Right, which is weird because Thunderbolt Ross is wearing a suit, dressed as, the Secretary of Defense. Prior to that, he always wore his army uniform.
Well, maybe this is even before he was a general.
It's possible.
I almost wonder if he was the U.S. government agent that was responsible for getting Natasha out of the Soviet program.
That's a great theory. And maybe he was working alongside Hawkeye at the time, and this is when she defected to S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
We see Natasha enter this house where she confronts Yelena Belova, who is another Black Widow from the comics, and they fight. And in this, they call each other sister. Even though they're not sisters from the comics, I don't think they're actually sisters here, but I think they mean that in sort of a camaraderie type of sense.
Yeah.
They were both in the Black Widow program, therefore they refer to each other as sisters.
It was cool to see that they obviously had the same training, because they were doing mirror images of each other, and I thought that was a Taskmaster thing, but it's interesting to see them doing it as well.
Yeah, the fight was very reminiscent of the hotel fight scene from Quantum of Solace. It also reminded me of the fight scene from The Bourne Identity.
It looked like someone really got thrown through a window in this trailer. That would have had to have hurt.
Yeah, the action is hardcore, which is awesome.
They're doing so much great stunt action work in films now, especially with the John Wick films.
Yeah.
I would love to see some crazy over-the-top, jaw-dropping stunt work in this film. This is the Marvel vehicle for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, take it even further than the Winter Soldier film did.
Yeah.
In addition to Yelena Belova, we're introduced to Melina Vostokov, who's played by Rachel Weisz, who looks to be a little bit older than them and possibly trained them. In the comics, Melina Vostokov is the Iron Maiden, and she's a bad guy who wears this skin-tight metal suit that protects her from damage.
Really?
But here, I don't know if she is a bad guy. She looks to be sort of this motherly figure to Yelena and Natasha.
Well, honestly, these Marvel trailers, especially recently, are so deceptive. They'll have scenes in there that aren't in the film, and they did it just to throw you off the trail of what's really going on in the film.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if these scenes with Rachel Weisz are doing the same thing.
It's possible. You never know now. The other member of this pseudo-family unit is Alexei Shostakov, who is the Red Guardian, played by actor David Harbour. This was done way differently than I thought it would. It surprised me. It surprised me, honestly, when David Harbour was cast, especially when it was revealed he was going to keep the beard, because that didn't feel like the Russian version of Captain America to me.
Yeah, he's no Chris Evans.
No, but here, the look subverted my expectations, but I still really like their take on it.
You mentioned that the character has the same last name as the Iron Maiden character, Rachel Weisz's character?
They're close, but they're not.
Oh.
There's Melina Vostokov, Iron Maiden, and Alexei Shostakov, Red Guardian.
Oh,
so it's similar.
All right, yeah, I thought they were the same.
Now, in the comics, Alexei was Natasha's ex-husband. He was the one that she thought died, and that's how she got the moniker Black Widow. But here, it looks like perhaps he's more the father figure. He's probably the ex of Iron Maiden.
Yeah, I get that same vibe. We also get to see Taskmaster in this trailer.
Very briefly. More briefly than I would have liked. But it's a cool shot. He's firing a bow and arrow, which I assume is meant to evoke Hawkeye due to the nature of Taskmaster's copycat powers. It appears that he's observed Hawkeye in action and therefore now has all of his archery abilities. What did you think of his costume?
I mean, we saw it so briefly. I do wish he was wearing the hood.
I guess he does have the hood in the film, but the mask does not look very skull-like like it does in the comics. I wish it looked more like a skull. But maybe they were trying to avoid confusion with Crossbones.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was cool to see him go up against Red Guardian. I don't think that's a fight that Red Guardian can win. I think that it's going to be a great showcase for Taskmaster's powers to see him take out Alexei. There were a few great shots throughout this trailer, one of them being where Black Widow's wearing her snow suit, her all-white Black Widow suit, and she does this backflip onto a bridge. That was badass. There was another shot of the Red Room where the Black Widow's trained, and we got to see all these women acting in unison doing these self-defense tactics.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool. And lastly, the money shot of the entire trailer happened at the end where we see Black Widow and her enemies falling out of this crashed airship or something like that, and there's debris flying all over, and she's skydiving like a boss. That was so cool. It was exactly what I wanted to see out of a Black Widow film. Just something that's probably the most superheroic thing a person without superpowers could do. Badass.
Yeah, it definitely ended on a very heroic image.
I think the music helped a lot with that. I was a really big fan of the music music in this trailer.
The music was great. The music was really good. It set the tone perfectly. The branding was also great.
Yeah, the title card. So the very last shot of the trailer is kind of like this silhouette of Black Widow walking through this hall, which was a callback to her first appearance in Iron Man 2 when she was doing that. Great imagery, set the tone perfectly. I'm really excited for this film.
Now, when is it coming out again?
It's coming out in May, early May.
So it's coming out 1 month before Wonder Woman.
Right, exactly. And that was a movie that also had a trailer that debuted this past week. Let's go ahead and talk about that.
I guess now I kind of don't feel too bad about getting this trailer so late. We should have gotten it a lot sooner. But if Black Widow is just coming out a month before, I guess this is good timing for a Wonder Woman trailer.
Absolutely. You just feel that way because this movie has been delayed a bit and we could have probably gotten a trailer much sooner than this.
Yeah, we were supposed to get the film this year, and it got pushed back like almost a year. So it was so awesome to finally see some footage from this.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers debuted it at CCXP. I saw the live stream, which was incredible. They never do things like that at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, it would be so cool to get a live stream of San Diego Comic-Con's Hall H panel.
Right?
I don't know why they don't do that.
They should. I'm really hoping that since Warner Brothers did it here, they'll do it in other conventions, but we'll see. Now, the trailer definitely gives off like this 80s vibe, which it should because of the title.
Right.
But I think the thing that surprised me the most from it was the amount of action and like the awesome moments and images that came from it. Has me super pumped for the film.
There are quite a few action scenes here that they've shown. And overall, I think the movie looks to be a lot of fun. That's the main vibe that I got from it. It appears we're getting like two different kinds of superhero films these days. There are the ones that are like highly faithful to the comic books, like Black Widow. It looks like a spy movie, like an espionage film, exactly what it should be. And then we're getting these more creative director visions that no one really asked for, but usually turn out to be pretty good. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, I think Thor Ragnarok was that type of curveball.
I think Joker was like that.
And you could classify Joker in that regard too. This looks to be in that like director vision vein of superhero film. And that's crazy because this film was also directed by Patty Jenkins, who directed the first movie, which I thought was much more of a straightforward Wonder Woman film that felt true to the character and the style and the spirit of the character, even though it was set during World War I.
Yeah, a lot of people made comparisons between that film and Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yes.
This one definitely doesn't feel like Captain America: The First Avenger.
Right. It's the same difference between Thor: The Dark World and Thor Ragnarok.
Exactly.
I think that's what Patty's trying to do here. I think the biggest question that this trailer left me with, though, is why the 80s?
Honestly, from what I could gather, I don't think there's a better answer other than Patty Jenkins just really liked the 80s.
I mean, with the Linda Carter television show in the 70s, you would think that that would be a more apt time frame for the character.
I remember speculating as to why it was called 1984 when they first revealed the title. And I remember speculating maybe it was something like Orwellian or something like that. I definitely don't get that vibe from this trailer.
No, because an Orwellian setting would be a little bit more probably like the Black Widow trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this Cold War vibe or something.
Or something dystopian, you know?
Right.
This is not dystopian. This is very glamorous. This is very
Studio
bright and
54.
colorful. Yeah. But you know what? It works for the characters. She just never looked more comic accurate. Like her suit isn't necessarily as battle worn as it was before. It's a little bit more vibrant. The red is red. It's not rust. Mm-hmm. And she's looking good as she's pulling off some amazing feats. I didn't think we'd be able to see her do anything new with the lasso, but just in this trailer, she does like 5 new things with it.
It's so versatile.
It is.
Right? She uses it as like a whip. She uses it as like a grappling hook. Apparently, she's the new Spider-Man because that's how she's getting around nowadays.
That was incredible. That was an incredible scene.
Where we see her swinging from lightning bolt to lightning bolt.
When I saw that, I was just like, what?
Why doesn't she just fly in these movies like she does in the comics?
I think if they can make it work in the story, I don't know, it's fine. She does have her invisible jet in this trailer.
I saw that. That was cool.
But did you see it? Or was it invisible?
It was invisible.
We got to see the interior of it.
Yeah.
Where they're like flying through the fireworks, and that was a gorgeous scene.
It looks surprisingly non-magical.
Well, no, I think it will be magical. I think it'll be sort of based on the same kind of magic that veils Paradise Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that would make sense.
I think ultimately, if they do things that fit the story and differentiate her from other superheroes, that could only help her. And that lightning shot honestly proves it. Because how epic was that? That was incredible.
It was pretty cool.
Thematically, there seems to be a lot in this trailer that touches on like wish fulfillment.
Yeah, apparently there's some kind of like wish stone or something that Maxwell Lord has.
Yeah, it's kind of cool looking. He like sits on his desk and he's like telling people to like just wish for dreams to come true. And clearly it looks like that's what happens with Diana and Steve Trevor. It looks like that's how she brings him back.
So she wishes him back from the dead. However, we know that in Justice League, he's still gone. So is Steve Trevor dying again in this movie? Or is he like going back in time or something like that?
He has to die again. You know he has to die again. Well, it seems like Maxwell Lord sort of gets to like take advantage of these wishes in some way because he says that now he gets to take what he wants in return.
Right.
So I'm sure like all the wishes get undone in some way to like depower Maxwell Lord. So that's probably how they get rid of Steve Trevor. And of course, Barbara Minerva being played by Kristen Wiig in this film, I imagine her getting her cheetah powers was probably some kind of wish of trying to be something like Wonder Woman.
That would make sense. Yeah.
So the story is starting to take shape in this trailer. I don't know why Wonder Woman is in the White House. I'm assuming that's the White House.
It looks like the White House.
It almost looks like a Nightcrawler scene.
Yeah, from X2. That was a nifty little thing that she did with the bullet in the chamber, where she like knocked it out of the chamber and then hit it with her bracelet.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if she knocks that into someone. Like, does she shoot someone with her bracelet? We also get some flashback scenes to Themyscira, and those look pretty cool.
They do.
It looks like the little girl who played her, like, hasn't aged a day.
Yeah, it looks like the same girl.
Yeah.
But they're, like, holding some kind of, like, Olympic Games in some sort of stadium or something.
Which is kind of cool because, of course, in the comics, Wonder Woman initially got to leave the island because she won some kind of Olympic Games type event to deem her worthy to leave.
Oh, really?
I just love the design of the Themyscira Stadium. It's really well designed. It looks really cool. I hope we get a lot more action there because the Themyscira scenes were some of the best scenes, in my opinion, from the first movie.
I thought the battering tiara was kind of cheesy.
Oh yeah, we got to see that early in the trailer at the mall.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. She's taking out the cameras. It kind of explains why she hasn't been seen prior to Batman v Superman.
Oh, because she's eliminating, like, evidence.
Yeah, she's just staying hidden. Of course, I think the biggest moment, the one that everyone's talking about from this trailer, is the golden armor.
That was pretty cool. I like the design of the wings. The helmet, a little bit less so, but I want to see it in action.
I would agree with the helmet. I think the sooner she loses that, the better. It's just, I don't like the way the hair hangs out of it, I think. I think that's the biggest thing.
It was a great moment, though. You know what the best thing of this trailer was? The music.
Heck yes! New Order's Blue Monday?
Yeah.
That is like one of the best songs from the 80s ever.
I like the Orgy cover better.
Well, that's the version that we grew up with.
Yeah. It is a fantastic song, and it drives the pace of this trailer so damn well. You even have, like, action beats being set up to coincide with the beats of the song.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that done since the Punisher Netflix show trailer where they timed the gunshots to the Metallica song. I kind of really like that effect.
It's so hard to, like, not like a trailer when they just play, like, a really good, like, nostalgic song.
It got me bobbing my head, for sure.
It got me head banging.
Well, that's because you were thinking of the Orgy version.
Yeah, probably. The trailer ends on kind of a funny, cute kind of note when Diana's kind of showing Steve Trevor, you know, the future, and she's like, everything's art, and Steve Trevor confuses a trash can for art. Chris Pine's a good actor. He totally sold it.
Well, they have great chemistry, Chris Pine and Gal Gadot.
They do. Yeah, they really do.
It's really nice to see them back together again.
Overall, this trailer has me super pumped for the film. I think it's going to be a fantastic summer movie. Just epic in every way. Just a sight to behold. It's going to be awesome.
Check your expectations, my friend.
Oh my gosh.
We don't know what the story is yet. If anything, I think the Black Widow trailer looks better because it looks so much more true to character. Like, I look at this Wonder Woman trailer and I barely recognize it as a Wonder Woman movie.
You have no idea how much better this film is going to be than Black Widow.
Uh-huh.
I guarantee you.
Oh, you guarantee me? I've heard that before.
You could just do so much more with Wonder Woman. She could be in this environment. She could be in World War I. She could be, you know, in modern day.
Uh-huh.
Black Widow is so one note. Oh, she's a spy. Oh, she's dark. Budapest. The Wonder Woman trailer was so much better. Don't even try to pretend like it wasn't.
It had better music, but it overall was not better. That brings us to our question of the week.
Which trailer did you prefer between Black Widow and Wonder Woman 1984, and why?
And none of that, I like them both bullshit. You gotta pick one. You gotta draw a line in the sand, gun to your head. If you only had to watch one of these trailers for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
Really curious to see which one comes out on top here.
Do the right thing, Marvel fans.
Yeah, do the right thing. Do the right thing, despite being a Marvel fan.
Post your answer to our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or email us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. We'll pick our favorite answer and draw that person a dynamic duel no prize that we'll post to social media. So that's all the news for this episode. Let's go ahead and get into our charity fundraiser matchup where we find out who would win in a fight between Whatzit, the Flash Turtle, and Spider-Ham, the Spider-Man pig. Okay, Whatzit versus Spider-Ham, essentially a turtle with the powers of the Flash and a pig with the powers of Spider-Man. Now, I think Whatzit is probably the most obscure character that we've ever done for any of these duel matchups.
Absolutely. He'll probably be the most obscure character we ever do.
Tell me, why did you decide to go with Whatzit as opposed to any of the other DC Super Pets?
Well, this one was really tricky because we knew we wanted to do Spider-Ham for this upcoming charity duel episode.
Since last year, yeah.
Yeah, since last year. But finding someone that could go toe-to-toe with someone as powerful as Spider-Man was kind of tricky because when it comes to DC animal heroes, they're either super powerful, like Crypto and Streaky the Cat and Beppo and Comet. They're all Superman, essentially.
Yeah.
Or they're a little bit too weak, like Gleek, the Wonder Twins monkey.
Yeah, because Spider-Ham is kind of like a mid-powered hero.
So while doing my research, when I stumbled upon Whatzit, because I'd never really known anything about him before, I kind of thought that, while he didn't have too much in common with Spider-Ham power-wise, in terms of power level, I thought they would be comparable stat-wise. And we'll see if that theory is correct later on.
Yeah, I would put the Flash among the mid-power tier characters as well, so I think this is an apt matchup. We'll learn all about both of these characters as Jonathan and I get into their histories and their power sets. But if you haven't listened to any of our duel episodes before, the way we determine who would win in a fight between the characters is through statistics and running those statistics through a probabilistic model that's known as a Monte Carlo simulation. And what the Monte Carlo simulation does is it randomizes their stats along a normal distribution, which is a bell curve, and that accounts for all the variables that take place during battle.
And it compares those stats against each other 1,000 times, which simulates 1,000 battles.
Right. And from those results, we get a percentage of wins for each character.
Now, no character ever wins 100% of the time.
The closer to 50% that the results are, the better that Jonathan and I have done in choosing a fair matchup. So it's a math-based, unbiased method of determining these winners that was used by the television show The Deadliest Warrior that used to be on Spike TV. We do this because Jonathan and I are, of course, both heavily biased.
This isn't based on fan votes. There's no uncharacteristic feats of strength. It's just stats.
Right, and the source of these stats is the official Marvel Power Rankings grid, from which we extrapolate the DC character stats among that criteria.
And we also incorporate a few more stat categories to make a more robust simulation.
Such as range.
And evasiveness.
Right. All right, I think it's my turn to go first with the histories of the characters. Let's go ahead and learn all about Peter Porker, the spectacular Spider-Ham. In an alternate universe, anthropomorphic animals exist in a Saturday morning cartoon-style world where, like Mickey Mouse or Porky Pig, animals walk, dress, and talk like regular Earth humans. In this world, there lived a spider named Peter. Geeky but ordinary, Peter the Spider resided in New York City in the basement of a scientist pig named May Porker, and would watch in amazement as she created spectacular inventions.
Did you say New York?
Yes.
Okay.
As an egg yolk. One day, Peter, from his web in the corner of the basement, witnessed May create an atomic-powered hairdryer with which she was hoping to revolutionize the hair care industry. However, when May tested the device out, it malfunctioned and zapped her head with radioactive energy. With her mind frazzled, she staggered over to Peter and bit him before fainting. As a result of the radioactive pig bite, Peter's body started changing. His 8 limbs reduced down to 4. He grew a snout, a curly tail. He transformed from a spider into a pig. Fortunately, he still retained some of his spider abilities, such as his innate spider sense and his ability to stick to walls. When May Porker came to, her memory was gone and she thought that Peter was her nephew. He decided to take care of her from then on in her deluded mental state.
And he took on the last name Porker.
Right, yep. It turned out that the accident transferred May's scientific intelligence to Peter. He used this inventiveness to regain his ability to shoot webs by creating wrist-mounted web shooters. Now, being far more than either Spider or Pig, he decided to use his abilities to fight crime as the spectacular Spider-Ham. He went up against enemies such as the Green Gobbler, Electro, Mystery-Ape, the Buzzard, and the Kongpin. Peter's new life was hard. When he wasn't stopping supervillains, he was often getting pushed around by high school bully Flash Tomcat. But he was able to help support May with his day job as a photographer for the Daily Beagle newspaper and its editor, J. Jonah Jackal. Peter developed a crush on the paper's secretary, Batty Brant, but found true love when his aunt introduced him to Mary Jane Water Buffalo.
What?
Yeah, not all of these puns are great.
No.
After Peter accidentally scared Aunt May into a coma by coming home through a window, Peter had to travel to Quackveria to get a serum to save her. There, he fought and defeated Dr. Doom and his army of mutated vegetables to get May's medicine.
Why? Vegetables?
Dr. Doom was just plotting to take over the world with mutated vegetables.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
It was a defeat that Dr. Doom wouldn't soon forget, as he joined together with Peter's other villains to form the Swinister Six, a team that also included Dr. Octopussycat,
Oh my gosh.
Sand Manatee, Raven the Hunter, Porkgrind, who was a wild boar with the Venom symbiote, and Moodok, who is an evil cow and the leader of AIM.
Oh, of course.
They tried to frame Peter for crimes he didn't commit, but Peter was able to defeat the team and clear his name with the help of Scavengers members Captain Americat and Iron Mouse. I don't know if it's pronounced Scavengers or Scavengers. I'm going to say Scavengers. Peter would team up with many other superhero allies in his superheroic adventures, including other Scavengers members Hulk Bunny, Thur, Squawk Eye, the Pigeon, the Scarlet Pooch, Quacksilver, Black Panda, and Ant.
Ant. Jeez. What is Thur?
Thur is Dog Thor. It's not a great name.
What the heck?
Peter also adventured with the Punfisher, Goose Rider, Croctor Strange, the Fantastic Fur members Mooster Fantastic, the Simian Torch, Invisible Gorilla, and the Thing, aka Ben Grizzly. You want more? I can do this all day. No. He has also fought alongside Daredevil, Nick Fury, Agent of Sheep, the Submarsupial, and the X-Bugs against their villain, Mag Squeedo.
Someone has way too much time on their hands over there at Marvel. Seriously.
I don't know, I love it. Peter Porker's world crossed over with Peter Parker's during the Spider-Verse event, where he fought alongside dozens of alternate universe Spider-Men to defeat the Inheritors, a vampiric race of beings intent on destroying spider-powered people to prevent their prophesied destruction. Spider-Ham was instrumental in their defeat by helping recruit many other spider people to the team, including Penny Parker and her robot spider, and he disguised himself as Peter Parker's baby son Benji Parker, whom the Inheritors needed for their ritual. You can learn more about this in our Blue Beetle vs. Spider-Man episode and our Batwing vs. Ultimate Spider-Man episode. After the events of Spider-Verse came the latest Secret Wars event, wherein all of the universes in the multiverse were combined into one planet called Battle World. There, he teamed up with the spider-powered beings he fought alongside previously to form a group called the Web Warriors. Together, they stopped a plot by Norman Osborn to try and usurp the new godlike powers of Dr. Doom. You can learn more about that in our Superman vs. Dr. Doom episode. After the multiverse was destroyed after the events of Secret Wars, Peter teamed up with Spider-Gwen, who is the penguin version of Spider-Gwen, which is not actually the name of Gwen Stacy's Spider-Woman, but just the name of her comic. Anyway, Spider-Ham and Spider-Gwen together stopped the villain Ringmaster, who was kidnapping and hypnotizing villains from across dimensions to do his bidding, and that was his most recent adventure. Powers-wise, Spider-Ham has his innate abilities of a spider, meaning he is strong, durable, agile, and can stick to walls. But he has the limitations of being a pig. He's an adept hand-to-hand combatant and can use his web shooters for a variety of web effects, including strands to swing from, web nets, and gooey projectiles. He retained his extrasensory sensitivity to oncoming danger, known as his spider sense. But unlike Peter Parker's Spider-Man, Peter Porker also has what's called spider nonsense.
What?
Meaning that the more danger he's in, the more cartoonier his abilities become. And that's Spider-Ham.
What?
Well, you know when he brought out the mallet in Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
That was part of his spider nonsense.
All right. Some of those names were better than others.
I really dislike Mary Jane Water Buffalo.
That is, yes. It's like they started and then they gave up.
Yeah.
Not that the Terrific Whatzit is a better name than any of those, honestly.
Yeah, it's worse.
Let me get into his backstory now. If you know a bit about the history of comics, you know that superhero comics lost some popularity in the mid-40s, like around World War II, and they really didn't gain ground again until the Silver Age of comics began in the mid-50s. During that decade, other genres had gained a foothold in the comic book medium, including romance, crime, and funny animals. In 1944, DC Comics unveiled its very first funny animal superhero, a parody of the Golden Age Flash named the Terrific Whatzit in Funny Stuff issue number 1. So by the time he first appeared, DC's multiverse had been established, and the Whatzit's adventures took place on Earth C, a dimension inhabited by anthropomorphic animals on strange planets. One of these planets, the planet Vulcan, was about 2 billion miles from Earth and was inhabited by two all-powerful beings who presided over all that was good and evil on Earth. There was the kind and just Prince Highness, a dog, and the nefarious Prince Lonus, a crocodile. A debate raged between the two princes as to how great power would influence a completely honest person of Earth. Prince Highness argued that an honest person would remain honest, while Prince Lonus countered that power would corrupt such a pure, honest person into becoming dishonest. So to settle their debate, Prince Highness thought into existence a machine capable of locating a completely honest person and teleporting them to Vulcan. Well, the machine found Martin McSnurtle, the turtle, a shock... He's a shock...
How dare you rag on Marvel's names? Okay, McSnurtle, the turtle.
Yeah, Martin McSnurtle was a shopkeeper from the town of Zooville who was only completely honest because he was too lazy to ever commit a dishonest deed. The machine on Vulcan shot Merton with a transport beam that brought him before the two princes, but also damaged his turtle shell in the process. While on Vulcan, the two princes trained Merton in athletics and advanced mathematics, knowing that the minimal training on Vulcan would translate into superhuman abilities on Earth, namely flight, super strength, and super speed. When Merton completed his training, the two princes sent him back to his home planet with a new turtle shell that Prince Highness imbued with an automatic, conscious conscience, a ghost-like apparition that only Merton could see that would motivate him and give him clues when needed. Having returned to Earth, Merton's conscience would pester him relentlessly if Merton saw an injustice, at which point Merton would take off his turtle shell and go into action as the Terrific Whatzit, a name derived from the difficulty in recognizing what animal Merton was without his shell.
Okay.
The Terrific Whatzit used his abilities to fight alongside the Allies in the Second Weird War, after which he retired from superheroics. Merton's nephew, Timmy Joe Terrapin from the Okie Dokie Swamp, carried on Merton's legacy as a hero called Fastback, after he gained super speed when he was struck by an irradiated meteor fragment that was accidentally knocked into the Earthsea dimension by Superman. Fastback was a member of the renowned super team, the Zoo Crew, led by Captain Carrot, during which time Fastback learned all about the wartime adventures of his uncle, the Terrific Whatzit.
Did the Fastback character also take off his shell to fight crime?
No, he kept his shell.
Okay.
So recently, a new version of Martin McSnurtle, just named Whatzit, has appeared in DC Comics' Young Readers comics and chapter books. He's the pet turtle of Barry Allen, and has followed in his owner's footsteps to fight crime with a Speed Force suit of his own. As Whatzit, Merton fights alongside other super pets such as Ace the Bat Hound, Storm, which is Aquaman's seahorse, Wonder Woman's pet kangaroo Jumpa, and of course Crypto the Superdog, who you can learn more about in our Crypto vs. Throg episode from 2 years prior.
Those names are so lame. Where are the puns?
Jumpa's a pun.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's true. They're just better. They're above puns. So the DC pet team has helped Whatzit keep Central City safe from threats like Admiral Peary, who is Captain Cold's Alaskan Husky. So with his Speed Force suit, Whatzit can travel at super speed, which allows him to generate small tornadoes when he spins fast in a circle. He could also vibrate his molecules fast enough to pass through solid objects, and unlike his Golden Age version, Whatzit wears a shell under his outfit. It's super durable, and he could hide in it for self-defense.
Oh, see, that's a good idea. That's what the original Whatzit should have done.
Well, then he wouldn't have been called the Whatzit.
And that's true.
I'm not sure why the new one still is. Probably in an homage.
All right, so now that we've gotten into the histories of Peter Porker and Merton McSnurtle the Turtle, let's go ahead and improvise a speculative scenario in how we imagine a fight between these two characters would actually play out. One of the 1,000 simulated duels that we run. Now, we don't set any rules for this scenario that we come up with, other than the fact that the characters don't know anything about each other. They just know that the other one is a threat. The characters start out about 50 yards apart from each other in an environment that plays no factor on the battle.
Right, because we don't take any statistics for the environment. And certain environments can give an advantage to certain characters over others. These characters have to win on their own merits. So we don't account for the environment at all.
So, this should be fun. Spider-Ham on one side, Whatzit on the other side of the battle arena, 50 yards apart. Who goes first?
Whatzit. He's so much faster.
Okay.
So Whatzit starts off just by zipping straight towards Spider-Ham and just plowing right into him.
Except that Spider-Ham's spidey sense goes off and he jumps out of the way at the last minute, and Whatzit just runs right underneath him.
Okay, well Whatzit just keeps running.
Run? Like where?
Just like around Spider-Ham. It's not like Spider-Ham could even touch him.
Okay. Well, Spider-Ham shoots a web at Whatzit to yank his feet, trip him, and get him to stop.
Well, Whatzit's too fast for Spider-Ham to shoot with his webs. He just runs. Yeah, he just runs out of the way, and Spider-Ham's webbing misses.
Okay, so Whatzit keeps running, and Spider-Ham, he shoots out this like big massive net of webbing. Not just a strand to try and grab Whatzit, but a net that Whatzit can't outrun.
Oh, you think so?
Uh-huh.
But Whatzit can vibrate, okay? And he can disrupt the webbing. So he just runs right through the net, and he leaves a turtle-shaped hole in it. Okay, so the Spider-Ham is going to go up to the hole like curious, and that's when the tension in the web net snaps the web, and it just wraps around him, trapping him in his own net.
This is like Wile E. Coyote versus Roadrunner.
Exactly. Perfect. That's perfect.
Okay. All right. So after some unascertained amount of time, when Spider-Ham has freed himself from the web net, he sees Whatzit zipping around, and he forms this slingshot, okay, using his webbing on the ground.
Yeah.
And he pulls himself back, and he lights up his rocket-powered roller skates.
What?
And he sees the Whatzit zip by him, and he slingshots himself forward, and he's chasing after the Whatzit using his rocket-powered roller skates.
Uh-huh.
And these are making him about as fast as the Whatzit itself.
Right.
So he's speeding up to him, and he pulls out his giant wooden sledgehammer, and he drops it right onto Whatzit.
Okay, but right when he's about to do that, Whatzit hits the brakes and just like goes right into a shell. So Spider-Ham like trips over the shell and just goes careening forward.
Spider-Ham slams into the ground and leaves a giant dust cloud. And Whatzit just keeps running again. Okay. So after some more planning on the behalf of Spider-Ham, what he does is he rigs this contraption, this like pulley contraption, where he hangs an anvil in the air using his webbing. And he's gonna drop it on the terrific Whatzit. And in order to get Whatzit to stop at the point where the anvil is, he puts out this sign that says, "Free turtle food." What do turtles eat?
Actually, I've seen conflicting reports as to what McSnurtle's favorite food is. It's either turtle sundaes or shellfish.
Well, I mean, Spider-Ham's not going to know that anyway, so he just puts out a sign that says "free pizza." Whatever.
Everyone loves pizza.
Right, especially turtles. So he puts out a sign that says "free pizza" with a plate of pizza that's underneath the hanging anvil. And Whatzit runs up to this sign that says "free pizza."
Okay, so Whatzit grabs a slice and then he writes something on the sign. He writes "for Spider-Ham" underneath the free pizza. Then he runs off.
All right, so Spider-Ham says, "Oh, a free pizza for Spider-Ham." So he goes up and he grabs another slice of pizza.
And that's when the anvil is triggered and it falls on Spider-Ham, squashing him into like a flat pancake.
And then Spider-Ham rewrites the sign to say "ouch" instead, and he holds it out. All right, so Spider-Ham goes back to the drawing board, decides to concoct this like female turtle replica using webbing and green paint. Okay, and what he does is he sticks an Acme dynamite bomb inside of this female turtle replica. And it has a fuse that goes out of the turtle's back to this like trigger plunger switch. Okay.
Oh, it's like that box with like a handle that you like push down.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
I don't know what it's called, but anyway, yeah, that's what he has. That's it. That's his setup.
Okay, so Whatzit initially probably runs like right past the replica, but then like zips right back. And then like you see like little hearts coming from him. So Whatzit is trying to seduce the replica. I imagine that's when Spider-Ham, pushes in the plunger.
Yeah, and activates the bomb and it explodes.
Yeah, the box explodes. It just explodes right in Spider-Ham's face, and he's just like left like this pile of ash and eyeballs.
But what about the dynamite?
Who knows? Shoddy wiring?
Yeah,
probably. You can never trust those things.
All right. Okay, this plan is gonna work though. Spider-Ham, having recouped from being a pile of eyeballs and ash, he has dug a tunnel into the ground and carved out like a section of earth, okay? And he's put a spring underneath it, like a springboard, so that when the Whatzit runs over this carved out piece of land, the spring activates and launches Whatzit high up into the air, okay?
Okay.
And he tests it out and everything. He knows that it works.
Okay.
It's foolproof.
Okay, so Whatzit? He's running along. He doesn't know that the springboard is in his path. He runs right over it.
And then the springboard launches Whatzit right into the air.
Except that it doesn't. It actually just stays flat on the ground.
What is happening?
Exactly. That's what Spider-Ham wants to know.
So Spider-Ham goes up and he's like, I tested this thing. What's happening? So he like sticks a toe onto the springboard to try to test it. Nothing happens. So he steps on it and starts jumping on the springboard,
which of course activates it, sending him high into the air.
And with a slide whistle sound, he crashes back into the earth, flat as a pancake, right next to the spring platform.
And then just for like no reason, the spring platform that's still kind of like wobbling, just like slams into him a couple times.
All right. Okay, this is bullshit. Last chance. Spider-Ham rigs up this giant mirror onto the battlefield. Okay? And Whatzit is going to run into it, not knowing that it's a mirror.
Okay, so Whatzit, he's running along. He doesn't seem to notice the mirror, and he runs into the mirror, off into the distance.
So Spider-Ham goes up to the mirror. He's confused. You think that he's going to test it out by trying to run into the mirror himself. But instead, since he's played this game long enough, he just shatters the mirror. And we all know that Flash heroes are weak to mirrors because, of the Mirror Master. And that, my friends, is how Spider-Ham wins this match.
Okay, but I say when he goes to shatter the mirror, probably with like a tiny little hammer, the hammer shatters instead, and then the mirror falls on top of him, just crushing him. And then his teeth shatter.
All right, we can't possibly take this any further. All right, that was fun though. Let's go ahead and take this matchup to the simulations, run them, and find out which of these characters comes out on top.
Let's do it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous about this. Just stat-wise, like...
Spider-Ham crushes it in the stats.
Yeah, I mean, like, compared to Whatzit, like, he's an anthropomorphic turtle, but he exists in a human world. So, like, his strength is really weak. He's a small turtle after all.
I mean, he does have super speed to back up his physical blows, but he's not nearly as strong as Spider-Ham. He's also not as good of a fighter, doesn't have as much range.
He does have more durability.
And speed and evasiveness.
Right.
So actually, you know what? They kind of even out, especially because the things that Whatzit is better at, like speed, evasiveness, he's much higher in the stats. I mean, Spider-Ham is no slouch himself when it comes to evasiveness due to his super agility and his spider sense. But I think this will actually end up closer than you think it will be, which is good because I would imagine that a fight between the Flash and Spider-Man would be a close match.
It would be hard for either one to touch each other just because of the nature of their abilities.
Yeah. It was a fun speculation, though. I didn't know we were going to go the Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote route, but it was totally appropriate given the cartoonish nature of these heroes.
Yeah.
So after inputting the stats and running the simulations, who do you think won?
Honestly, I kind of agree with Instagram on this one. We did a poll on there, and 70% of people said Spider-Ham. I'm just worried that Whatzit may not have what he needs in certain stats to be able to topple Spider-Ham. Especially when Spider-Ham is like as versatile as he is. You can just conjure things out of nowhere.
Yeah.
With his spider nonsense.
I love that. But I do have to say, I think you are selling Whatzit a little bit short, as are our poll takers, because the winner of this matchup is Spider-Ham.
Oh, fuck off.
But he only won 514 matches out of the 1,000.
Oh, that's actually closer than I thought it would be.
Same here, actually. And winning 514 matches means that Spider-Ham only won 28 more battles overall than Whatzit did, which is right within the margin of error for these simulations. It's like plus or minus 25. Meaning that this matchup is technically a coin toss. It's a 50-50 split. And if I were to run another 1,000 simulations, it's possible that Whatzit could come out on top. If 514 isn't just on the low end for Spider-Ham's win rate.
Right. I'm just wondering if this means that Spider-Man would beat the Flash. I don't think it does, because Barry Allen is obviously smarter and stronger than Whatzit.
That's true.
But it is, honestly, closer than I thought it would be.
Well, good matchup, sir, on this holiday episode.
You as well? I mean, I would like it a lot more if I had actually won. But peace on Earth and goodwill to all anthropomorphic animals.
Yeah, peace on Earth until our next Duel episode, which will be next week. We're going to do another Duel matchup with Marvel and DC characters where we find out who would win in a fight between Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen and Molecule Man.
I don't even know who that is. This is going to be really interesting.
This next matchup might be the first episode in which the DC character is more popular than the Marvel character.
I'm sorry, what?
You heard me.
That's not even true. Batman and Moon Knight?
That's like the only other example. But that's just because everyone knows who Batman is.
Yeah, because he's awesome. But this, of course, will tie into our Watchmen review that we're going to do the week after that. And of course, by Watchmen, I mean the TV series that's on HBO right now.
Yeah, if you guys aren't watching that show, definitely check it out because it is amazing. It's really, really good.
And this will be the first series that we review from HBO or Disney+.
Right, exactly.
Which we're going to start doing once the season wraps up, since they're not releasing all the episodes at once.
So look forward to that in the upcoming weeks. Let us know what you guys thought about this episode by reaching out to us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com or on social media on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Don't forget that on Facebook, we currently have a fundraiser going on, raising money for the charity organization called Pop Culture Classroom. So if you could visit us on Facebook and donate toward that cause, help promote children literacy and education through comic books, it's a great cause. And of course, we will be donating artwork of Whatzit and Spider-Ham to one lucky donor.
The artwork is actually our podcast cover for this week, just sans color.
Correct. Yeah, it's a black and white drawing done by Nathan Santasteven, who's an amazing artist. Go ahead and look him up if you haven't. His cartoonish creature work is just unparalleled.
He is among the best at that. It is his niche. Please don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to us on. It goes a long way in spreading the word of the show.
Yeah, we're not looking to get to 200 ratings on iTunes anymore. But, we're always looking to expand our audience. Special thanks to executive producers John Spees and Bodo Winter. That does it for this show. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Up and away.
True believers.